As we proceed to give you what you need, it's not 9-5, but we in the 2020. We about ready to get up out of this mug, man. Get on some 2021 steez. Desperately, we need it. We need to look ahead and look to better things like more running with WARR. We are back in effect. Joshua M. Hicks, Drew Stevens, Kyle Means, yours truly, and we are running back as the NBA is coming back sooner than it may have been imagined a couple months ago. But no, we can't be mad at that because that means more ball to talk, more off-season maneuvering, and this is indeed going to be a unique week and an interesting week in the league. Unprecedented again because usually with off-season in the NBA, you have a little time to space out things. You can focus primarily on the draft right after the finals and stuff. But everything's being bunched together now because of this off season on speed that we have here, running up to December 22nd. Now is going to be the start of the season, and you got already a bunch of moves that have been rumored, and some that have even essentially on paper, if not written down. But we're gonna talk about a lot of those deals already that are been handshake deals at least, and we're gonna of course preview tomorrow night's draft. But just about 24 hours away from the draft, and give you a little bit of what we think is gonna happen in those top spots from number one to through the bull spot at number 4, and maybe even a few beyond that. And we're gonna have some fun with it. Like I said, Drew and Josh are here. Chris is somewhere trying to make some money, I guess, on TV somewhere. I don't know. I'm not gonna tell his business for now. We're gonna leave that up to him to reveal that. But he's doing some wild stuff. He's gonna come back with some stories, I'm sure. But we are gonna have a fourth runner with us, a first-time runner, Gavriel Wilkins will be with us. And Drew got some sort of animal. Is that a?
It's cat, man.
What?
This cat, man. We call him Little Hitler.
Oh, Little Hitler.
Yeah, man.
Oh man, you better watch out for that.
Terrorize everybody. We got a dog too, but he run the show in here, man. Let him tell it.
Oh, okay.
All over the place.
Oh man, you better watch out for your gas pipes with Little Hitler. But anyway, Gavriel Wilkins will be joining us at about a half hour. He's big. He writes for Hoops Habit, and he's big on the Rockets. So we're gonna definitely talk a lot about the Rockets. Seem to be like in the middle of everything right now. They've already made an anticipated deal. With Ariza, bringing Ariza back, sending Covington to Portland, and but everybody wants to know what they're gonna do with Westbrook and Harden and everything. So we're gonna definitely talk about that as well. But y'all two just want to, as we start off here at the top, man, what y'all think about, overall about what's happening right now and what's things been like since we last got together, man. What leading up to right now, I said it's been kind of crazy. A lot of moves are up in the air, potential moves, and even the stuff that we've seen already that looks like it's going to be done. The Chris Paul trade, the two trades that Milwaukee have made, Bogdanovich and Drew Holiday, look like they're going to be coming up there. Any thoughts on any of those or anything else that's we've seen in the recent times here?
I'm just enjoying the fireworks, man. That's why I'm popping this popcorn.
Yeah, you got the popcorn looking like Michael Jackson in the theater, man.
Yes, sir. I'm enjoying the fireworks.
Enjoying the show.
It's what we expected. It's the NBA, man. The NBA always gets fireworks and random crazy stuff going on in the off season. And the fact that this is such a short off season, and like you mentioned, the draft is tomorrow. Free agency is happening 2 days right after the draft.
Yeah,
like it's a lot of stuff that's gonna be, there's gonna be a lot of fireworks taking place. And like you mentioned before, we already started. Chris Paul's on the move to Phoenix. I'm pretty sure, we knew he was going to go somewhere, but Phoenix was probably one of the farthest ideas that many people actually thought would actually happen.
It wasn't an obvious pick, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't the most obvious pick, but I'm happy because now that means Devin Booker has a quality backcourt mate that can really take his game to another level. So I'm happy to see that pairing. But this I don't know what Houston, y'all got a problem because Westbrook and James Harden and stuff is about to blow up, and you guys pretty much need to start a rebuild at this point. And all this stuff going on, James Harden trying to go to Brooklyn, be part of the new OKC that he originally left for, but that's a whole other discussion. It's like, I don't know, it's fireworks everywhere, man. I'm just enjoying every second of it with me, my popcorn, and my G-Raid. So as long as we keep talking about these things, I'm paying attention. I'm gonna be like Woj with my phone next to me to figure out these Woj bombs that be coming in, and making sure I'll be staying in tune with our guy Scoop B, who has been breaking news like crazy. Especially ever since the season has been over with. He pretty much called that Chris Paul trade as with Phoenix being one of those main suitors. So I'm just interested to see what these next 48 hours is going to look like, especially since apparently we hearing the Bulls is trying to make moves too.
Yes, you came with something I saw on the text a little bit talking about Kemba Walker or something. What's that about?
It's rumored that the Bulls inquired about Kemba. That's the rumor right now. But I think Kevin O'Connor mentioned that, saying that the Bulls inquired about Kemba, which is very interesting because the previous establishment would not have done anything like that. But the fact that we even inquiring, I like the aggressiveness. If that truly is the case, I like the aggressiveness that we're trying to see what's really out there in the market, especially since we pretty much are looking for a point guard. And if it's not a guarantee that we're gonna get LaMelo Ball in this draft. So because of that, do you really want to? That's what we're gonna talk about later. Where do you really want to take that chance at number 4? To draft a point guard that a lot of people don't really have in their top 5, 10, and 10 list, or do you just wait till free agency or free agency or just other options that may be available in the offseason, like a Kemba Walker, if it really is available for them? I don't believe it is. I just think they're just doing their due diligence and seeing what other teams are willing to offer, willing to give up, but. Just the fact that we're inquiring already gives you a whole different outlook on how aggressive the Bulls are trying to be to get things to the relevancy and back to the way the Chicago city needs and deserves. So I'm excited about it. But like you said, man, y'all keep talking. I'll be right here popping my popcorn. It's all good.
Let them beat Drew. Give them something else to be excited about, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, everything that Josh said, I'm definitely right there with him. Checking my phone constantly on the Twitterverse, seeing what's going on. When that Drew Holiday deal first came down, I said, okay, I like it, but I still don't think it's strong enough to really put them over the top. Then they made the deal and got Bogdanovich. Still, it's nice. It looks good. They got a nice starting 5, but I still don't think it's going to be enough, man. And I say that because even with Drew, and even with Middleton, Giannis still doesn't have really a number 2 guy. Like, they aren't in that sphere of the second fiddle type player. You
don't think Drew could be potentially the 2?
Nah, I don't see Drew as a 2. As good as he is, as well respected as he is in the league, I don't see him as a number 2. I think Giannis is running with 2 threes. And I don't know. I guess that's what they're gonna roll out there next year. Obviously, like I said, while the starting lineup looks good, I don't know that that necessarily puts them over the top. Maybe not even in the East. You're talking about Miami coming back strong, more experienced. Boston as well, always gonna be tough. Another year for Jaylen Brown and Jamal Tatum or Jason Tatum to show what they got, take another step forward in their development. Obviously, who everybody keeps talking about, Stephen A. Smith continues to talk about, rightfully so, is the Nets. That seems to be everybody's number one seed in the Eastern Conference without even seeing them having played a game together and seeing how KD looks on that rehab leg, foot, ankle, I should say. And I'm just not. I don't know. I'm not ready to push the Nets to number one, but I'm also not conceding the East to the Bucks just yet. I need to see more.
Josh, that's a plain popcorn or that's Chicago mix?
This is the movie theater.
It's movie popcorn.
The movie theater popcorn. This is the must need popcorn for when you want to see the fireworks. This is
nice and buttery.
Exactly.
Yeah, quite
nice butter mix with a little nacho seasoning on the side, man. You good.
Okay. You keeping it fancy. You gotta keep it hood with the Chicago mix, man. that's when you seeing somebody fight on the corner, though. That's you just pop some of that, had a 3 mix in there, and you like, oh, them miles. Oh, here come the cops. We go. Anyway, well, I don't know, man. I'm like I said, it's been fun. I think, like you said, this overlapping of, this period, the signings officially don't occur till Friday, but now we got the allowed tampering that's going on essentially from Monday, and like I say, just to have that overlapping with the draft is a trip. I wonder how these GMs are dealing with that, because that's something that they typically don't have to deal with. And in Chicago, of course, we do have a first-time GM in Eversley. We have a first-time VP, but these guys have been around the block. They know a lot of what they want to do, and I'm interested to see if anything comes about with a trade with the Bulls or anything like that. If they, Walker, I think would be a nice guy to acquire, but I wonder what you would give up for him. If you would just give up the 4th pick for him, I would rather the Bulls maybe switch picks with Boston in some way and try to see if they could acquire Walker in that kind of fashion, because I think they need young talent still. They need affordable talent and manageable talent on rookie scale. And I just don't know if Walker is enough to mortgage your future, because even if you don't like necessarily, if you're not over the moon with the guys who are available at 4, you potentially could miss out on a star and a real building block guy. Whether not necessarily if you talking, whether you're not talking about Ball, you could take Ball out the equation. Maybe you're talking about Hayes or Halliburton or even Denny. Maybe one of these guys could be a cornerstone guy for you. But if you just give up the 4 to get a guy in Kemba, who we know what Kemba can do, he's an all-star. But is he gonna? Are you gonna be pairing him next to Zach? And is that pairing going to be enough to get you where you want to go? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of like I'm with you, Kyle. When I saw that flash across the screen about the Bulls inquiring about Walker, almost like the Milwaukee move. It's like, okay, that's cool. I'm not mad at them, but I almost would rather them use that pick, like you said, for somebody that's younger, obviously, and be a building block to something bigger. Because I'm not ready, even though I would love to see maybe LaMelo Ball. I know what it would take, or what's rumored for it to take for that to happen, meaning us moving Markkanen or moving Wendell Carter Jr. And as disappointing as those two have been because of injury or poor leadership, whatever you want to call it, I don't think they should move yet from those two. I mean, hopefully injuries don't continue to riddle this team the way they have, because I think they had the makings of at least the A seed last year. Had they been able to play together, that's a huge factor in the development. Even Otto Porter Jr., you know, people make a lot of jokes about him and the amount of money he's making, that $28.5 million opt-in he had. But he's a good piece, though. He just needs, they like Markkanen, like Wendell Carter Jr. This injury bug has just slowed the development down, the rebuild down so much. And I think they should at least, they owe it to everybody on that roster just to run it back, man. Let's see if what we can put together.
Well, the injuries have definitely been a factor, but I think even more of a factor is the lack of leadership and the failure of coaching. Mm-hmm. Like I don't think you could judge. I don't think you could wholly judge anything that the Bulls have done in the past 2 years with that guy coaching them, who was coaching them. I ain't even gonna say his name, but I forget his name almost. Like it's like I want to call him the camp ranger dude, like from Yogi Bear. You know, that's what he made me think of.
It's the time clock guy, I think.
Yeah, the time clock guy. Yeah, that's his name. Yeah. That's what we gonna call him. But he was so negligent as a coach, man. You can't really properly, in my opinion, you can't really properly judge any of the guys on the team right now in regards to their development, because they were stopped. They were stopped or really held back development wise. So now you have a proper pro coach in Donovan there. So like you say, Drew, I think you got to at least use this whole coming season to figure out what these guys are under a real coaching staff as well. We could extend it to Mo Cheeks and the guys, and we're going to be working with Donovan. I think they're all improvements as well. So, you know, let these guys develop under a better light this year and see what you can do with them. And, you know, if you, like I said, I think I have confidence that AK would do, if he pulled a deal, it would be a positive deal, a deal that should be made. But I don't think the Bulls need to do something. Milwaukee needs to do something because they want to impress. They want to impress their franchise guy. They want to keep him there. They want to keep, they want to keep him happy in some way and keep him feeling like that they're doing whatever they can to make themselves a championship team right now. The Bulls don't have to do nothing to make themselves better right now. They just need to do something to build off, to make themselves manageable. I mean, not manageable, but make themselves professional again. Like they just need to get away from what they were the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I think that's the only reason why when we hear the Bulls inquiring about certain things, I think it's I don't want to say smoke screen per se, but yeah. I do think it's just them showing like, okay, we're gonna do our due diligence, but they know in the back of their minds this is just like a trial year. Yeah. This is gonna be the year where they get to really figure out who is here for the long term and who isn't. And of course, aside from the fact that next offseason, that's where they're gonna really have the biggest amount of cap space that they had in a very long time, and utilize that cap space with superstars that may potentially really be in the free agent pool. That's where I think they're gonna try to make the most aggressive, biggest splashes. Yeah. I just think that obviously with the draft taking place and with this offseason being so short and the salary cap being so tight, they're just trying to see what they can do to wiggle things around. But I don't think they're taking it as serious as others may inquire or hope for it to be. I think they're just doing their due diligence and just expecting to select someone who is available at number 4, who they really think could potentially be the cornerstone player for that franchise.
And they gotta do things. They gotta play out the Otto Porter contract and stuff like that and get more space. As thick as of now, they only have space for like one free agent signing. So it's like, you know, you pretty much stuck with this roster as is. You're not, you know, people aren't going to be ain't nobody knocking down the door to get at Otto Porter's contract or to get at his play. And people aren't even knocking the door down for Zach. I was like, yes, last night when I was, you know, everybody was reacting to what New Orleans got for Drew. I was like, damn, they ain't want Zach. You know, these guys giving away all they picks for the next couple of years. Like Bulls should have been out there like, hey, we got something right here, you know. Let's get a couple of the picks, you know. We got something for you more.
I think that just lends itself more to what we've already, you know, talked about how Connor Sovis, he just wants to see what he has. Get a better look at what he has. We'll see. So what do you guys think? Do you think they more in need of a wing or more in need of a point guard? Because in the
good question.
The caveat to that is if you go point guard, then what's your starting lineup? Are you going? Is Kobe going to be in the? You know, Kobe's going to be in the starting lineup, right? But if you go with another point guard, that's going to be. I don't know about the backcourt, man.
Yeah, that's a big question going into this draft. So, and you know, do you go with a point guard and try in some way to do like a 3-guard starting lineup? Because I think a lot of the belief with Kobe is that, you know, you can, at this point in his development, you can allow him to play more off the ball and more, you know, you want to more max out his ability to score and just, you know, be a dangerous threat on the perimeter for defenses. Whereas you could have a slicker ball handler type guy who was, you know, controlling the ball. And of course, you know, Zach will be an even bigger, longer threat as a, you know, sort of a hybrid 2-3. More of a, you know, he's traditionally more of a 2, but you can play him as a shorter 3 as well. And you know, that's what brings about rumors like the Kemba Walker thing and all that. So you can go a couple directions there. You can go with your draft where there are a couple of options for point guards in the top 10, whether you stay at 4 or you maybe trade down and maybe go with a Halliburton or somebody like that lower in the top 10 if you depending on where you trade, or Killian Hayes too as well. Or you can, like I said, you can try free agency. But it's interesting too, the Bulls, we gotta look at some of their moves that they've made with guys already as well. They've basically said that they're not messing with Shaq Harrison and
Chris Dunn.
Chris Dunn, yeah, there you go. So you're talking about 2 guards right there who, at least they're not starters, but rotationally they're guys who could play off of Kobe. And so you got to feel that they feel, you know, if they're letting those 2 guys go and they're keeping the Denzel Valentine, which is sort of, you know, for some it's sort of peculiar decision making, but Denzel is more of a wing guy. So you would think that maybe the Bulls are edging more towards getting a point guard, you know, by hook or by crook.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like you mentioned, that's the biggest thing we have to pay attention to. It is because of the fact that we've heard so much about rumors of maybe the Bulls trying to trade up to get LaMelo and what it would take to get LaMelo Ball in this draft. Or, like I said, we just heard today about the Bulls inquiring about Kemba Walker. But it's very rare rumors or reports that I've seen that talked about the Bulls actually trading down with teams to select a specific point guard or a specific player. And that's interesting. Even in Casey Johnson's recent article, he has the Bulls pretty much considering or drafting a wing player. And it's a wing player that I haven't really heard of or paid much attention to, but I guess it's the wing player that was on the rise throughout the draft process. So,
and that's what that's Patrick Williams.
Yeah.
I've heard his name and Okuro's name brought up in relation to the Bulls, and of course Denny, which I absolutely don't want them to pick. That'll be like my worst case scenario. And I really can't even back it up with substantiated facts. Just I don't want to touch him.
I won't be surprised. I mean, look, AK is it's a European connect, so I won't be surprised if he goes there and says, this British European guy over here, we'll figure it out, right? Mm-hmm. That's something that sounds like something that's up his alley. But to AK's credit, we have reason to trust him, especially when it comes to the draft process. Look what he did with Denver, getting Bobo, Michael Porter Jr., Jokic, Jamal Murray. All those guys they went to the Western Conference Finals this past year. So it's like you can't neglect AK's progress and his produce. He bears fruit. So we just gotta hope that he utilizes that same mindset that helped him develop the good eye for talent that he did in Denver, and hope that he brings some of that good fruit back to the shot, man.
And it's interesting too. You look at Denver. He's pretty much a guy who goes strictly off talent, getting the most talented guy, because you look at a couple of the positions in Denver, they're sort of backed up, like in particular in the wing spots, like, they got a couple, you look at like them having Beasley and, Murray and a couple other guys in the backcourt, like who do similar things, but they're just talented guys. So it seems like he's fine with having a deep roster with multiple guys who do the similar things or the same things, as long as they're just talented guys.
Mm-hmm. Right. Just throw the best five out there, positionless basketball.
Right, positionless basketball.
Yeah. I mean, the Joker makes that a lot easier said than done, but
and that it helps when you hit with a guy like that. Yeah. And that's another thing about this draft. Like when you look at guys like the Bulls did a lot indirectly to help that roster. The previous regime did a lot to help that roster directly with that trade they had. Was it 11, I think, or something like that, or 14, when McDermott and giving them Nurkic and Harris at the time. Of course, Nurkic since has left, but Gary Harris has remained there and has been an important guy. Mm-hmm. And, they use Nurkic to get Plumlee, who's been another guy in their rotation ever since. So, yeah, it's the Bulls. Maybe the Bulls could fleece somebody like the Bulls used to get fleeced. Maybe they're on the right. They could be on the right side of a fleecing now, since they don't have Garpax making their decisions.
True. Yeah, it's exciting, man. Because I think Connor Sovas, this is when he was in Denver, he never picked higher than 7th. So for him, for him to do what he did, or to help them do what they did, with these picks, including the second round gems that Josh talked about, to be this high in the draft, even though it's outside of the main 3 that everybody's talking about, it's still exciting. And like Josh said, he's built up enough equity for fans to make peace with whatever decision he chooses to go in tomorrow, whether we like it or not. This guy, we can rock with him for now.
Right.
And I think I was gonna say, I think also key component we need to highlight is the fact that Billy Donovan knows what it's like to play multiple guard lineups. What he did in Oklahoma City, how he made it work with Dennis Schroeder, Chris Paul, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So you talk about maybe drafting a point guard. You may have a 3-guard lineup like we talked about with Kobe White, whoever they select, whether it may be LaMelo Ball or whoever they end up getting drafting or even trading for. To have that 3-guard lineup with Zach LaVine in your backcourt and give that flexibility as far as working with Otto Porter Jr., who was a stretch wing player. Same with Lauri Markkanen from the 4. I think having that experience of playing those multiple guard lineups in Oklahoma City is going to help him out in Chicago especially since you do it gives more flexibility, especially when you're talking about guys like Otto Porter Jr. and Zach LaVine, who can play those wing positions very, very well as if you need Otto to play the 4 while Markin is on the bench, or if you need to go that much smaller and move Markin into the 5, you do have Otto that can be there with a Zach LaVine as your 3, and you still got a nice backcourt duo between Kobe as who's your scoring guard and another point guard that can really facilitate the ball. So I think with that experience, that could be beneficial for the Bulls moving forward as well.
Just one more thing. It's going to be so refreshing to have a coach, knock on wood, that actually adapts to his team rather than trying to force feed his style.
Yeah.
Man.
Definitely, yeah. That's definitely been a sign of Donovan in his NBA career. He's done a lot to adjust to the talent he's had, and there's been a lot of talent changes in Oklahoma City, but they've consistently been able to win over his time there, those 5 or so years. I think 5 years in. Yeah. But we're going to get back to the Bulls and stuff. We're going to get back to we're going to go over, do a little mock drafting at the end of the show. But right now, let's bring in our man Gavriel Wilkins. Gabe, writer for Hoops Habit, and focuses a lot. He's a Chicagoan, but he focuses a lot on those Houston Rockets. That's what he does with Hoops Habit. And he loves the game overall, though, NBA. You might have heard him last week on In the Building episode with me and Demons. But, we got him as a first-time runner here. And definitely welcome you on the show, Gabe. What's happening?
What's going on, guys? Appreciate you for having me, Cal, as always.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Like I said, I love to talk ball with you, be it on Twitter or here on our streaming. And yeah, man, we talked a little bit about the free agencies and the trades and everything that's happening. But we definitely want to get you on and transition back to that. And just start off with the Houston situation. What has you been? Have you been hearing anything in particular about? I guess the main storyline right now is being expressed is that Harden wants out. He wants to go to Brooklyn. Westbrook wants out as well, but he's more up in the air in regards to where he could go. But primary targets seem to be Charlotte and New York. The Knicks in New York. So have you been here? That's been pretty much what you've been hearing as well?
According to what I heard prior to hopping on the show just now, and I saw it on Twitter, Tim McMahon, who's been down solid in Texas covering the Mavs and the Rockets, both respectively, indicated that Houston is interested in acquiring another mid to late first round pick in addition to an early second round pick prior to tomorrow night's draft. I don't know if you all know, but last night it broke out that the Rockets agreed to a deal in principle with the Portland Trail Blazers to give up Robert Covington in exchange for a 2020 first round pick in this draft, which would be the 16th overall pick, including a 2021 first round pick, which is something that I know the Rockets and Ralph Stone specifically were seeking to acquire. Not only just is potential asset to have and a deal that maybe lands them another star player, but also for their future due to having traded their 2021 first round pick that they owned originally to the Oklahoma City Thunder as part of the Westbrook and CP3 ordeal last year in July. So I know that they've also indicated that they're not going to budge on their stance as an ownership group and as a management group when it comes to Harden and Westbrook, that if they do trade them, that they seek to get a significant bear of assets in return, and specifically for Harden, who's in the midst of the prime of his career, is coming off of his third straight scoring title after averaging 30 plus a game for the last 3 straight seasons. First player to win 3 straight scoring titles since Kevin Durant, and the only player to make the All-NBA first team in the last 4 seasons. LeBron can't even say that one. So I know that that's something that they've been talking about specifically. And I think what they're trying to do, honestly, is put themselves in a position whether or not Harden is there or Westbrook is there, to at least field a competitive enough roster with a box office star that can attract fans, if not keep fans, in the Toyota Center, which I would believe would be open to fans considering the way that Texas has been operating as a state in the Southwest.
Sure.
So, Gabriel, you talking about? So you saying, considering everything that Milwaukee had to give up to get Drew Holiday, that means like a team got to give up their whole roster for Harden, right?
Absolutely, I would expect so, and I wouldn't think that Ralph Stone would do any different or handle it any different. He's a first-time GM in the league. He's a black GM, so he has a lot to prove, and he's only the 10th guy to hold black man to hold that title in the league. So, as an exec, a lot of people around the league don't know him, and it's been a lot of things that are circulating. I can't say that the Harden of Brooklyn report is fabricated, none whatsoever. He has ties to Brooklyn there with not only Kevin Durant but Mike D'Antoni, who's an assistant assistant coach and / associate in Brooklyn. And then even with Philly, you tie in the Daryl Morey connection as well, a guy who believed in this man when no one did, gave him a 5-year, $80 million deal before he played his first game as a Rocket in Detroit 8 years ago. So it's a lot of connecting dots that are there. However, I think what Houston's in the midst of trying to do is entice Harden to stay as much as possible because they know how much he means to the franchise, for one. And then two, superstars don't grow on trees. You know, no matter how many assets you have or draft picks, you still have to develop them at the end of the day. And the cost of developing a star when you already have a superstar on the roster, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Josh.
I was gonna say, Gabriel, talk about how maybe is there any truth to the fact that maybe Harden and Westbrook feel like this may be a rebuild just because of the fact that D'Antoni's gone. You got a new coach, and I believe his name is Steven Silas. You got a new GM. It seems like the original direction that they're comfortable with, that was known for being very competitive and doing that management doing whatever it took, pretty much to try to get themselves over the hump. Do you believe that maybe because that is gone, that idea that they may be that aggressive, that idea that maybe they can stay relevant and still win that title has shifted, or that window has really closed to a point where they really now are really trying to feel like they need to get out of there in order to achieve what they really want to achieve, which is the championship?
I think it's a lot of uncertainty. You have to think about it. Ralph Stone, this is his first time in the GMC. He was a guy that's been in this organization for the last 15 years, and he was a guy that mostly stayed in business operations. And Daryl was slowly bringing him along over the last 3.5 to 4 years, involving him in basketball transactions and so forth. So this is his first rodeo. And while he's been in the organization for as long, and actually longer than Harden has to build a rapport with this guy. On top of that, you have a guy like Steven Silas, a first-time head coach, albeit a veteran coach in the league, as an assistant and as a scout dating back to 20 years, has had multiple stops in the league in Cleveland and Charlotte and in Dallas, has coached Luka, Kemba Walker, LeBron James, Steph Curry. He's been around superstars, but James Harden has no rapport with this guy. Neither does Russell Westbrook. So when you have new management and ownership group and Tillman Fertitta and his son Patrick, which has taken a large role within the franchise, who really played a big part in them getting Silas as their coach, they don't know like what the future holds. And then it's a lot of uncertainty. Like, you have an owner that says, well, I'm gonna do everything in my power to make sure that James Harden wins the championship, but yet he hasn't ever committed to going fully over the luxury tax throughout his 3 years to date since he's been in Houston and bought the team for a record-setting $2.2 billion in September 2017, which was my first year where I started covering the team. So it's like your actions have to speak louder than your words. And I think that's what they're trying to see. But one thing I will give Ralph Stone credit for after last night, making that move to trade Covington and getting 2 first-round picks back, is that now he has assets. And if he can continue to stockpile assets, it gives him the flexibility to either seek to go into a new era of Rockets basketball with young pieces, or potentially utilize these young pieces, including a veteran like Trevor Ariza, who was involved in that deal, is trade bait and pieces to get potential stars to come to Houston in order to keep that championship window alive in an era where championships and just being able to compete for championships in this super team era is so hard to do.
Gabe, I was struck by what the guys said on the All the Smoke podcast. They stacking
Matt Barnes.
Matt Barnes. They said, they said they had some sources of their own, and that what really made, I don't know if I think they were speaking more towards Harden, but they said that he really didn't feel that he was acknowledged in the decision making as much as he would want, and that's really was the catalyst for him wanting to leave. Do you think that might have been the case?
It's been a lot of smoke and mirrors. From what I heard down there in Houston, Adam Spolane, who's with Sports Radio 610, does a hell of a job covering Rockets basketball as well as NBA news. Underground guy, but well known in Houston. The Harden and Westbrook were both involved in the head coaching process when it came to that search. They were very involved. Now, Harden was not able to get to Houston, but the Rockets wanted him in Houston to actually sit down in meetings when they were interviewing multiple head coaching candidates for the vacancy at the time. Now, to my knowledge, the player Harden and Westbrook, they wanted John Lucas. They were very adamant about John Lucas having that job. Who they did not want was Jeff Van Gundy. If it was up to Tillman Fertitta, I think Jeff Van Gundy would have ended up more likely becoming a head coach once again of the Houston Rockets. They went in a different direction. They decided to go with the young up-and-coming face in Steven Silas. And he was a guy who a lot of people, I don't know if they know, but I think most forget, people in NBA circles, he was actually the runner-up to D'Antoni when the Rockets had a previous head coaching vacancy in the spring of 2016. So while it wasn't a surprise to some people in-house, it had caught Harden and Westbrook by surprise to some degree. And I think that's maybe why you see part of it, although according to sources and multiple reports that I heard coming out of Houston, they were fully backing Steven Silas as the head coach. In my personal heart of hearts, I believe that some of these reports that we're hearing are smoke as much as it can be some truth to it. I think that because one thing I know about James Harden, just covering him, he doesn't talk a lot to like most media figures at all. He's a very down-to-earth guy, and he's a guy that's really hell-bent and focused on trying to become one of the best basketball players in the world, which is what he's done throughout the course of his 8 years to date in Houston. So, but from what I know, they were involved in the process. Now, James Harden was not in Houston when they were seeking to fill that head coaching position, but he did sit in meetings. He had Zoom sessions with Silas, including Westbrook as well.
Yeah, a lot has come up in the past couple of days about Harden's processes and how he's been, of his generation, he's been like really the only major player who hasn't been out on the free agent market really and everything. He's showed a lot of loyalty to his teams that he's been a part of, and he's shown a lot of loyalty to Houston. You know, what do you think in his mind makes him, you know, he's at this point now though where he feels he wants to move on. What do you think is his thinking, his process that makes him think that Brooklyn would be an ideal place for him to go to as opposed to anywhere else?
Because for one, he has a familiarity with Kevin Durant. And the last time that he got a chance to play on the championship stage was 8 years ago. And who was on his team? Kevin Durant. I think what James Harden is doing a lot of soul searching, honestly. Here's a guy that just turned 31 in August. He'll be entering his 12th season in the NBA. He's been to the playoffs every single season of his career, yet he has fallen short of winning a championship. And even though he's in the prime of his career, the window of opportunity to win is relatively slim. And when you look at the Western Conference right now, every team that's in the thick of the playoff race has at least one or two primary stars. You know, you look at the Lakers, they have AD and LeBron. You look at Denver, Nikola there. You look at Phoenix, who just added CP3 yesterday, alongside of Devin Booker. You look at Memphis with the Rookie of the Year and Ja Morant. You look at Dallas with Luka. You know, it's a lot of firepower. And it's in the Western Conference. You know, in my time covering the Rockets, I've learned a lot about Western Conference basketball. Watched a lot of Western Conference games. It's you get a elite matchup every single night, and in the best of 7 series where teams are scouting you out left and right, they know what's coming, they know what you're gonna do. You need to have optionality. You need to have the ability to be able to beat teams in multiple ways, and you also need star power. And I think he's looking at that and he's saying, if I go to Brooklyn, if that's really what he's thinking, if I go to Brooklyn, I have a guy that I know is willing to play off the ball. I have the ability to play off the ball. Granted, though, I may have not been able to do, I haven't done it since I've been in Houston as much because Mike D'Antoni blessed me with the opportunity to be the leading ball handler and the point guard, which is by product of that, I became an assist champion. I became a scoring champion. You know, I think he's thinking about a lot of these things, and at the end of the day, it all comes down to a championship by any means. And you feel that pressure, you know, in this era that we live in, which is ring culture. You know, you see it on NBA Twitter all the time. Loyalty isn't viewed the same way as it once was in previous eras of basketball. You know, if James Harden was playing in the 1990s in Houston and went ringless, but he was a record book king like he's on his way to becoming and joining Wilt Chamberlain and various record books alongside of Michael Jordan and other esteemed greats of the game, it's a different story. But now, you know, in this ever-evolving 24/7, 365 media cycle, you know, anything goes. And people talk, people get in each other's ears, camps start to listen, and they say, maybe I do find this idea to be of interest.
Yeah, he's already a very you know, critic. He's criticized as much as any player, elite player in the league, you know, for his style of play and everything. And I think, you know, there's definitely an opportunity going forward for him for the turn up to get pretty hot on him in regards to him not winning a championship. So yeah, it was seen that he's trying to cut that off at the head, but I don't know if that's going to be the best fit though. I mean, for fantasy's sake, do you think that would be the best fit, or would you think? Could you imagine another place where he may be an even better fit?
Me personally, and I'm not even saying this just because I cover the Rockets, I feel like he's in the best place possible to win a championship right now. I really do. I feel like this is his opportunity. If you want to win a championship and you want to get everybody off of your back, why not do it in a place where the fan base hasn't seen a championship in over a quarter century? They haven't won since 1995. Why not do it being the leading vocal point of an offense? I don't really like the Brooklyn fit or find it to be the most ideal from a defensive standpoint. Offensively, if KD and Harden had a pick and roll combination, I would be very intrigued to see that, because who are you leaving to defend when one is seeking to drive? You know, and then you got Joe Harris out there, who's a knockdown shooter, an elite guy in catch and shoot situations. If you get a big man over there, then it could get very interesting. But
I like it better. Yeah, I like it better too without Kyrie. Honestly, if it was just KD and Harden, and you had Karis LeVert and Harris, like you say, and Dinwiddie, I like that better in the East than having those three. And who knows how? Like, you know, people saying, you know, there's not enough balls. You know that. But, you know, there have been teams, similar constructed teams with three, three guys who need the ball who have been with each other. But I just think the mental aspect of things, the chemistry thing, I think it's always something up in the air when you're dealing with Kyrie. And Kyrie and KD are good. KD and Harden are good. But are Harden and Kyrie gonna be good? Are Harden, Kyrie, and KD gonna be good?
And that's the wild card in my eyes as well, especially when over the years you look at how Kyrie and Harden have played. Both are elite level isolation scorers. Both are ball dominant players who, while they have the capability of playing off the ball, are not as willing as other players when it comes to doing so. I think James Harden is more willing to do it than Kyrie as well. And Kyrie would be the interesting wild card in that equation, in my opinion, if that pairing were to happen. But it's a lot of difficulties in regards to making that happen from the net standpoint as well. Like, what assets do you have that can give the Rockets a fair deal? And then if you add a third team, like that's tricky as well. Like, you have to make financials work. You have to, Houston really, in a lot of ways, they hold all the leverage here. They don't have to trade him. And this is not like an Anthony Davis, New Orleans situation where he's on like the final year of his contract prior to his player option expiring or declining it. It's not like that. James is still under contract for 2 more years. So if you're the Rockets, the one thing that you have on your side is you actually have between 1.5 years to 2 years to play this out if you want to. Whether he wants to be there or not, he signed a long-term deal. And, if you're a competitor at the end of the day and you have a roster with a Russell Westbrook or potentially John Wall, as there's been a lot of reports rumbling that the Rockets and the Wizards could be doing a deal potentially within the next 24 to 48 hours, you can't turn that down and say, hey, I'm not going to play with the chips as they lay, because he has familiarity with both guys enough to make it work. And Steven Silas is a guy who I'd be very intrigued to see under Harden, because I know I've heard Harden say on multiple occasions, I know I can play a different style of basketball. And this isolation style of basketball is not my cup of tea. I want to play in a system where there's ball movement. Steven Silas wants to bring that. I want to play in a system where, guys I'm able to drive and kick and get it to viable shooters. Now, the Rockets have some assets to work with, and potentially they'll have some more to work with in the coming hours that they can use to further enhance and upgrade the roster around him.
With you saying that, it gives me, like, in the back of my head, I'm just still wondering, as I did when Westbrook and Harden came out and said they wanted to be traded, when PJ Tucker and Austin Rivers talked about being disgruntled. Like, what is going on there? Because you just said, Harden sounds like he's willing to play a different style and give Silas a chance. Was there what was the disconnect, or is there a disconnect between Harden and Westbrook? Are they having Clipper-like locker room issues? Is it just that D'Antoni's gone and the guy that let them kind of have the green light to shoot threes all day? Like, is there underlying circumstances there?
In my opinion, a part of it is due to, like I said, the recent change that happened with the head coach and D'Antoni and then the front office. But I also think it comes down to accountability and a lack thereof, and front office leadership not holding parts accountable. Okay. Harden had the green light when D'Antoni was there. Virtually anything he wanted to do offensively, he had the freedom to do it. And it showed on the court. And I'm talking, the complaints that guys have. I think some of them are fair. I could see how a guy like PJ Tucker will be irate about his contract when he's playing the 5 every night and he's having to D up against the likes of Anthony Davis and Rudy Gobert, guys that are bigger than him, and he's putting his body out on the line, but yet he's only getting so many touches. I could see how a guy like Eric Gordon, who went from a 6th Man of the Year award winner his first season in Houston to a guy that was a fringe starter In one moment, he was back on the bench, upset with his role either increasing in certain stretches or decreasing in others. But I think it comes down to accountability and a culture standpoint. No one ever held James accountable. It was like, it's his team, and we're going to go as he says we go. When Chris Paul was up and available for trade, it was Harden who pushed for that move. When CP3 was showing signs of decline in the conference finals and he wasn't able to get to his spots as quick, I think the big brother, little brother dynamic that those two had kind of waned. And in Harden's eyes, he was kind of like, well, I'm looking at it like, hey, I'm carrying this team. I'm the one that was really the main reason why we were able to get back in that series, coming down from 2-0 last year in the second round of the previous year before last. And, you know, I'm looking at you looking like you're on a decline. And then I had to carry this team and go on a 32 game, you know, scoring streak where I averaged, I was putting up 30 plus, you know, and you weren't there. Then insert Russell Westbrook, a guy that's my friend. I grew up with him in South Central Los Angeles. Let's make it happen. But when that happened, they traded away so many pieces of their future to make those deals happen. Going back to the Chris Paul trade, like, I don't think a lot of people know this, but tomorrow night will be the first time in 5 years that the Houston Rockets have had a first-round draft pick. You know what I'm saying? And to put it in perspective for you, the guy that they took with that first-round pick in 2015 was Sam Decker. And I believe it was 16th overall. He's no longer in the league. Yeah. And he was the piece that they utilized in the deal with the Clippers alongside of Lou Williams and Patrick Beverly and a first-round pick to get Chris Paul. So they've always tried these experiments where you would pair Star with Harden in the backcourt instead of just utilizing Harden as the lead piece and building a quality roster of role players alongside of him with maybe potentially another all-star in the front court. Like, one thing I noticed that James has never had since he's been in Houston, he's had dynamic pick and roll bigs, but he's never had a big that can stretch the floor and shoot.
I think since the offseason started, I've always been kind of intrigued to see if him and Embiid could some way link up. I don't know if that could happen, but I just want to see that. I want to see that combination.
I think that could happen, but this is the thing that kills it. I don't think Tillman Fertitta wants to do business with Daryl Morey.
Right.
Yeah, now he's in Philly, yeah.
Yeah. And personal grudges, as much as it shouldn't be involved in business, it always typically ends up being involved. Like, I think the Sixers would give up a boatload of assets to the Rockets, but I just don't think the Rockets would be interested in that.
But Fertitta seemed to be old school in that way, where he gonna carry them grudges, and he ain't gonna care. Them old Texas old men, they carry some grudges.
Exactly.
Well, Gavriel, let me ask you this: if they are somehow able to acquire WARR, is that enticing enough for James Harden to stay?
I don't know, but I do know this. Over the last couple of weeks, James Harden has been playing in a lot of pickup basketball games with John Wall out in Miami at the Stanley Remy workout sessions. So it will be very intriguing to see. I personally think that, or I wouldn't be surprised if they sought to potentially trade one of those first-round picks that they have tomorrow night to Cleveland and maybe put in Eric Gordon as part of that package to try and entice the Cavaliers to give up Kevin Love.
And yeah, that's a big who can shoot right there.
Yeah. And a guy that needs to be in a winning situation and also has familiarity with Westbrook dating back to UCLA, and even Harden with those guys, all three being West Coast guys who played in the Pac-12 together.
That'd be something. So you're foreseeing a possibility, because my thinking was that Westbrook is out the door regardless, but you think there's a possibility that he could still stay around too?
If the trade market is bearing for him, and the Rockets are able to get assets that they believe to be, impactful or beneficial for their future, I could see Westbrook potentially staying. I don't think it's a guarantee fully. I think he will be the first domino they will see to flip as opposed to James. But, it would have to be an offer that's like overwhelming. Like if Charlotte's willing to give up the number 3 overall pick for Russell Westbrook, oh yeah, they'll do that.
Well, I've heard something that says that Mike ain't down with that though. Unfortunately, I would like to see that. We're about to do some mocking in the top. I think we're gonna do the top 8 picks. So I want to see what y'all think about these top spots. But yeah, I would like to see. I want to see something wild like that happen. Like I want to see a team like Houston or San Antonio or somebody get into the top 4, or just like I say, just blow everything up, man. I just want to see some wild shit like that happen, man. But before we do that, Gabe, what we were talking before you came on about just the past couple of days and some of the established deals that are going to happen, that are not yet on paper, but looks like they're going to happen. Like the Bucks deals and CP3 going to Phoenix and stuff. What has caught your eye, or what has resonated with you the most over the past day or two?
The Bucks landed Bogdan Bogdanović, a guy who is very gifted in the pick and roll game, not only as a playmaker, but as a scorer. Being able to facilitate and create for others, I think he'll be a big help for Milwaukee in the manner in which Malcolm Brogdon was for that team a couple of years ago prior to leaving for Indiana. I really like that pickup for them a lot. And I was very surprised that Sacramento gave him up for the pieces that they got back in return. I really like that move a lot for Milwaukee. And of course, the Chris Paul trade, pairing up CP3 with Devin Booker to give them one of the best backcourts in the Western Conference, alongside of a young big and DeAndre Ayton, who, was suspended last year for 25 games as a result of a PED scandal, but I think really showed a lot of signs of promise and growth in the bubble. I really think he's going to be the biggest winner out of that deal.
Okay. But yeah, let's we're gonna wrap up within the half hour here. But let's get back to the draft coming up tomorrow, and look at some of these top picks. And I got a thing in front of me. I don't think I'm gonna share it because I think it's a ESPN Plus thing, but they have a post that it says grade A NBA mock draft, the perfect picks in each position. And this is without trades or anything. And I think they say that the perfect pick for Minnesota would be LaMelo. For Golden State would be Wiseman. For the Hornets, they got Okonegwu, the USC big man. And for the Bulls, they got Anthony Edwards. So do you guys think that something like that could possibly happen? Is there any way that Edwards could possibly fall to 4? And if he does fall, would that be a no-brainer for the Bulls?
I would think so. Just because of the fact that if you're talking about drafting the best player available, that Anthony Edwards is one of the perfect guys to do that with. And on top of that, we talked about how the Bulls need that extra wing player that can play both ends of the floor. Someone that can score the ball and shoot the ball, at a decent rate while also being a good defender. Anthony Edwards can provide that, especially if you want to keep Zach LaVine at the 2 or even move him to the 3. You could put Anthony Edwards at the 2. So I think Anthony Edwards will be perfect for that type of role. But that's the thing; he has to be available. He has to drop availability wise to the Bulls. I've heard, we've been hearing all types of things about how maybe LaMelo could potentially drop, or even Anthony Edwards could drop. So that's what makes these things so unique. And knowing Charlotte and the fact that they haven't been that great in drafting either, you got to see. Seeing them, They may pick the guy from USC and really shock the normal thoughts that a lot of people were thinking with who they would go with. So
who the African brother they've had down there for a while? I'm trying to think of that brother's name.
Biombo.
Yes. I think they like they look at the name. They're like, oh, we got a Biombo 2.0 here. I see. That's the thing. Like, if you look at that top three, you gotta if you talk whether you talking about Ball or Edwards, falling down, you gotta have one of those top three reach. And it would seem that the odds-on favorite for reaching would be Charlotte. And I've seen that, I think, in some athletic reports too, for the Athletic. Like, some people have them going after that kid there, Okengwu, and maybe that will lead to a pleasant surprise for the Bulls. I don't know, but we'll see. But let's do this. Let's go around, since it's four of us. Let's go around. I'll start off, and Drew, you do 2. Josh, you do 3, and Gabe, you do the Bulls at 4. And let's give our picks, who we think will go. So I'll start it off with Minnesota, and I think, as much as Edwards may be the top talent in the draft, I think they're going to be enticed by the Ball situation, the potential stardom there, the ball, the playmaking ability, the ability to, like I said, control the ball, up tempo, do whatever, pretty much do whatever you want with the ball, and they'll allow Russell to play off of him. They have the big man who will be able to feed I just think that he's gonna be too enticing for them to turn down, and I think LaMelo Ball's gonna go number 1, and there's gonna be a lot of rejoicing in the Ball family, and a lot of wildness up in the 10,000 Great Lakes, the land of 10,000 lakes, they're gonna take the Ball reunion, the Ball show up there, and that's what I'm going with. But Drew, what do you think at 2? It seems like everybody is resigned to seeing Weissman go to Golden State. Do you see any different?
I don't, unless they do something just out of left field. I think Wiseman, his potential, I don't know if you can't pass that up at number 2. He'd be in a perfect position, hardly no pressure. He can rim run, protect, catch lobs, pick and rolls with these guys. Like, I just think the potential there, the upside there, you can't pass on that, man. They don't have an overwhelming need except for maybe that type of player. So yeah, I can't see them passing up on Wiseman. I think that's a safe pick.
They need big too.
Yeah.
They need, he seems to be. He could be a rim runner. He's a rim protector. And when you look at those teams, those dynasty teams, they had guys who were much less talented. Maybe you could argue for JaVale being at least equally talented at this point in Wiseman's development. But they had guys like that who can occupy the paint, and maybe they weren't there in the clutch minutes. Maybe they left them out for the depth lineup and all that stuff, or the Hamptons lineup. But to have that young guy in there and be able to mold him from day one, I think that's got to be something that they got to love potentially.
Yeah, but his biggest flaw is being his offensive game. He can mask those basically with Golden State. You can just focus on defense, like we said, defense, rebounding.
Yeah. Well, Josh, we giving you 3, so this is the all important position with Charlotte. What do they screw up the pick, or do they just go with the obvious pick in Edwards?
I won't be surprised if they screw up and go for the USC guy or maybe even Denny. I would not be surprised if they take that type of leap. But if they were smart and LaMelo Ball, if he really does go number 1 in the draft, I think they would. It's a no-brainer for them to go after Anthony Edwards. The fact that he's like you said, probably the best talent in the actual draft itself. The fact that he can score the ball so effortlessly, the impact defensively can be magnified if he continues to work on that in the NBA. It makes the most sense to go after a guy like that unless you're literally that desperate to where you want to get someone that can be offensive minded from a big man perspective, which is something that they have lacked as of recent. So I think I see them going after Anthony Edwards, bearing they go left field, but it's Charlotte. You really never know what they're gonna do because 9 out of 10 they may not ideally go with the pick you think they would go with.
Yeah, Mike needs to hit a home run, man. There's too many singles in Charlotte.
Yeah.
And you look at some of the talent they got in the backcourt already. Devontae Graham had a great season last year, and who's that? Who's been running point down there?
Rozier.
Yes. They got him from Boston. So, I mean that's potentially a trio of really nice perimeter scoring right there. They may not, like I say, defensively, you may not get much with them, but they're a team that could probably do a lot of scoring and do a lot of exciting things on the court at least. So, that's something that Charlotte may like. And who knows, they may string in Westbrook too and just have like the shortest, angriest lineup in the league, like just there's a bunch of gunners, man, 6'4" gunners and stuff. That'd be fun.
And not to mention too, Kyle, if you think about it, Anthony Edwards, if they do trade Russell Westbrook to Charlotte for that 3rd pick, you get a guy like Anthony Edwards, Harden. That could be a nice little. That could be a nice.
Might be a play.
Yeah.
That's good thinking.
That would be real intriguing.
Yeah. All right, so Gabe as our special guest, but I say you are a Chicagoan, so you know the Bulls. What do you think the Bulls will do with the 4th pick tomorrow?
If I was AK and Eversley, I would seek to go with Obi Toppin out of Dayton, a guy that is a bona fide walking bucket coming into the league, and I think he'd be ready to shine immediately offensively. Granted, he has some questions, on the defensive side of the ball. He could be a lot better, but I like his ability to run the floor and get buckets in that capacity. He can score out the mid-range. He can score out the block. He can shoot threes. He kind of always reminds me of Kenyon Martin, but he's way more athletic. He can put the ball on the deck. And I think the Bulls need to transition themselves, into getting more younger and more athletic with Billy Donovan. Of course, Otto Porter is your starting small forward for now, but you let Obi get his feet wet, and then once you trade away Porter, you allow him to, start in that lineup and get some starting minutes. I really think he could eat here and do some great things for the Bulls alongside of Kobe White at the point, Zach LaVine at the 2. You throw Obi in there with Laurie and Wendell, you got some size with some guys at the guard spot that can make some things happen, and you have a fun and exciting young roster that'll help you sell tickets under Billy Donovan.
But you talk about getting younger, but Obi in the draft is one of the older guys.
He is.
Yeah, he is. He's younger than Porter, of course, but he's more of an established guy, which makes him a pick that is sort of a throwback to the previous era, because they liked older guys who went through college and for a couple years and stuff like that. But I'm not down on Obi, and I see what you're saying in regards to his fit on the court with the Bulls, and you could put potentially a front court together with him, Laurie, and Wendell, sort of a positionless front court, but guys who can switch off of each other defensively, but Wendell's gonna do more in the post, of course. But guys who can offensively, I think, be more of a threat than maybe even Denny, who I'm gonna go with next for Cleveland. But I think you could go either way with those picks, 4 or 5. I could see those going either way. And but I think a lot of people are gonna be salty in Chicago though if Toppin gets here. But I'm not down on him like that. If it happens, I'll be open to see how it goes. But I don't know if he's gonna be the most popular pick here in Chicago.
I'll be one of those people that's a little salty.
I know you.
Although if they draft Denny, then I'll be the saltiest. But
you'd be more salty with Denny.
Yeah. Obi, I like Obi is so. That was a great comparison, man, with Kenyon Martin. I worry about him defensively and him playing the 3, especially given that a lot of the stars in the NBA are wings, are 3. So whatever he gets on the offensive end, I wonder what he gives up defensively. That's the only. But he's super athletic, man. Yeah. Extremely athletic.
He is. That's something I would love to see more of on the Bulls in general, just more athleticism.
Same, and I think he provides them with that, and that's something that they need. I would like to see a Bulls team that plays at a much faster pace and that are able to have guys when they are able to get stops they can run and gun with and get easy buckets. That as a young team, you can't have enough of that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go like at 5. I said that originally I wanted to work out some sort of deal with Cleveland and the Knicks at 8, and because primarily I was gonna be doing a bit, and my punchline was gonna be that Tristan was gonna end up in New York and start Basketball Wives New York somehow, but I'm gonna chill and just say that Denny goes 5 to Cleveland. I like his ability to potentially be, you could probably plug him right away at the 3 in Cleveland and have him be a guy who is a facilitator type dude, the point forward type action. He can get the ball up and down the court. He can be a more where Garland or Sexton may fail in some areas when they distributing the ball, he can pick them up with that. He's a smooth player. He maybe he's got to improve on his jump shooting a little bit, but he's a guy who can get the ball to the rim as well. I like him, be whether they are able to keep Love and keep that those elder guys that they have on the team, the little older guys. They should have Drummond for a while. I think he's a guy who can make an impact there right away with because he's a bit more polished than the average guy you're going to get out of this draft because he's has so much experience from over in Israel.
Where we at, Atlanta?
Yeah, 6, Atlanta.
Ooh. So we working with Trae Young. We got Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter. Capella's over there too now, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Let me go with Halliburton, man. I'm going to go Tyrese Halliburton out of Iowa State, man. I just worry about that. Not so sold on that backcourt, though, but at this point, he might be the best player available for what they need.
Let me go back to this ESPN thing. They had Halliburton as the ideal pick for Cleveland, and they had Denny down in Atlanta.
Ooh.
So I don't know, but yeah. But I already put Denny in Cleveland, so I mean, I guess that would put Tyrese as the next best player. So yeah, I mean, as a tall guard in that backcourt, what do you think he would add to being alongside Trae Young and all that?
You kind of offset Trae Young's size. Halliburton needs to get bigger, needs to get in the weight room. But he's supposed to be a really good pick and roll guy, pretty good facilitator. He can also shoot threes. so he can also play off of Trae Young. So I can see that working out, man. I can see that working out for them.
Atlanta's a team I wouldn't mind seeing trade either. Like trade down and maybe with a more contending team and see, because I would like probably Halliburton on a more contending team.
That's a possibility too, because they looking at Gordon Hayward right now.
Atlanta's looking at Hayward.
According to a lot of reports I've been reading on Twitter lately, this evening prior to hopping on with you guys, they're seriously thinking about putting together a deal for Gordon Hayward in the signing trade.
Okay. I like that. Yeah. Okay. So we at 7 now, Josh. Where's that 7? That's Detroit. Who you think would fit there in Detroit? I think you may want to go with a guard there, man. A point guard, probably.
That's the thing. You guys already took Halliburton. I think the next point guard for me out of that group is Killian Haynes. That's the best, I think, option for Detroit to have, especially since you don't really know what's going to happen with Derrick Rose. He may not even he might be on the move from Detroit. So that would be a good option for the Pistons to have. But I actually wouldn't even be surprised too if he actually gets maybe like somebody like an Isaac Okoro, who's a wing player that can hit the three a little bit, but also is very good defensive wing player. That could be someone that can fill in that role as well for Detroit. So I think that's an option to work on.
Okoro's been getting some comparisons to. He's been getting some good defensive, like some people even say like a broke Jimmy Butler or something like that, or an unrefined Jimmy Butler or something like that with Okoro. So that might be a good way to go too for Detroit, definitely. Yeah, but I like Hayes. If they say he's as good as he potentially as he can be, Detroit, like I said, it needs somebody to run that offense, and I think even whether D-Rose stay there or not, I think they could use somebody like that, myself. But we're gonna leave it at 8 in the Knicks because beyond that anything could happen. But I just love the Knicks on draft nights because they always do something that piss off their fans and
they gonna take Benny.
That's just gonna piss you off, Drew. But Gabe, what do you think, man? Throw us something as well. Given our picks that we've made so far, what do you think the Knicks will do?
Man, you talk about a team in New York that they need everything.
Yeah.
In so many ways. If I'm the Knicks, I'm trying to hit a home run on a guy that to me is like one of the biggest mystery prospects in the draft. And I want point guard because as much as I like Frank Nicklita as a defensive player, his shot, and his inability to hit shots made him a tremendous liability on the offensive end. I would want to take Kira Lewis Jr. out of Alabama. That's a guy that I would really, really think about considering taking with the 8th pick. He's a guy that could get up and down the court. You have young athletes there, and R.J. Barrett, Kevin Knox, Mitchell Robinson. You want to play fast as far as I'm concerned. And with Tom Thibodeau being there, I'm pretty sure practices are gonna be tough. But that's a guy that I would want leading my group. A guy that's battle tested and was coached under the tutelage of Avery Johnson. So I think it would be anybody that can handle a guy like Tibbs, it would be him. That would be who I would go with.
Yeah, they say Lewis is a tough guy to get off the court. And he's a guy that will defend. So yeah, definitely under Tibbs. That's a guy that you would want. That may be a little bit of a high pick for him too, from what we've seen with the mocks. But actually, the Knicks are capable of doing that. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I like that. That was nice, guys. I appreciate that. Well, that went well. So, like I said, at 1 we got. Let's go over it right quick. At 1, we have Ball, LaMelo Ball, Wiseman, then Edwards, then Obi Toppin, then Denny Avija, and at 6 we had six, Drew.
Halliburton.
Halliburton to ATL. Killian Hayes to Detroit, and Kira Lewis Jr. to the Knicks. All right, that could be a pretty interesting draft right there. No trades involved, but we'll see if that is played in the mix at all. If there are any deals on draft night, and we're gonna rock. We're gonna do some rock with a watch party tomorrow on Facebook. And you guys are invited, and we may have a couple of other of our guys from the WARR crew and everything involved. So definitely, you guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're invited as well. WARR Media Facebook page will be on probably about 6:30 or so, and we gonna play it at least up to the Bulls pick if they stay at 4 or thereabouts. We're not gonna do the whole first round. I ain't gonna be on that long, but we just gonna play it up to the Bulls pick there, like I said, around there, and react to the Bulls. Mainly we gonna want to do some instant reaction to the Bulls pick or the Bulls decision, whatever they do. And that's gonna be it for now, though. That's it for this show. We gonna be back maybe in a week or so to recap the draft and whatever else happens this week with free agency and trades and stuff, so look forward to getting back with you guys, Drew and Josh then, and Gabe, man, you definitely wants you to be involved with the show going forward, man, so we'd love to have you back on to talk more as the season unfolds and stuff, man.
Perfect, man. Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, definitely. So that's it for now, though. We ending this run. We're gonna pack up, take our ball home, and we go freshen up. But like I said, tomorrow, WARR Draft Watch Party on Facebook, our Facebook page. So check us out there, and check us out with everything. WeAreRegalRadio.com. Drew over there got the Chicago Sports Exchange post popping again. That's up now. Josh got all type of stuff that he's written in the past. You can look up, and that's it, man. We like I said, the podcast as well. Of course, WARR on Anchor. This will be on there within the next day or so. The audio version of this. So check that out if you didn't see the whole show. And that's it. Plenty more to come. Plenty more basketball coverage and plenty more good stuff. And we'll holler at y'all later, though, man. Enjoy yourself and keep bouncing. All right.